Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And I am going to open a window. So depending on what browser you use and whether you use Gmail or not, the way that I would get to Google Forms is I would just go to my Google account and then just choose in the drop-down box, choose the forms. Other people might do it different ways. Heather, do you do it in a different way?
No, I go to our Google account. I'm not sure. I think you might have to have a Google account to use Google Forms and Docs. I think you do. So I think
Okay.
you can, I mean, I have a shortcut on my desktop, but you pretty much have to be signed in, I believe. So.
Yeah, so you'd have to be signed into an account, but accounts are free. And you just are something@gmail.com. Boy, is it slow today. It might be the bandwidth of also being on Zoom while I'm doing it. But I started to open it and have it ready. And then I realized that sometimes getting there is half the battle,
Right.
Especially if it's a tool you haven't used before. So I wanted to open it. So just take a nap. Okay. So yeah, the way I do it is I open a Google account, which for me relies primarily on email. And then I would go to this little menu icon and click on it and find Docs. It is Docs, right? Or is it Forms we're doing?
You can get to either. When you go to Docs, it'll drop down. You can pull it down to Forms. So either.
Were you Forms, Alvin? Is that the one you wanted to use?
Yes.
Okay. Forms it is.
And well, should I give a bit of background and as why I'm interested?
Sure.
It actually yesterday, Ann May speaking yesterday triggered a thought, because one of our strategic goals is to simplify our getting applicants in the stream for Habitat. And our problem is because we're a lender, we have this app. It's the same application or very similar application that you would fill out at a bank and for a mortgage loan. And so it is it's too complex to give to folks who may struggle with comprehension and reading. And so we thought, what can we do to simplify that? And of course, we still have to have them fill out the form, but maybe getting them in the process up front could be simpler. So anyway, that's the issue. You know, there's some things we can't ask because it triggers the application, which means we have to take action within a certain number of days. So
Right.
Anyway.
Right. Okay. So I would agree
Thanks.
with your assessment that this is probably a good way to do it. Because Google Forms automatically also meant for mobile, right? And so the people that only have access on a smartphone, they would automatically have access to this. And you'll get a link that's textable, that's postable, because it's Google, it's really easy to integrate with other applications. So you would start a new form.
Alvin, when we started using forms to capture the first step to get families signed up for GoPax, it highly increased our participation. So yeah, I think just as a first step, even if you can't ask all the questions, probably be beneficial.
And maybe all you want is just contact information so that you have a person that reaches out and asks some of the other questions, that can then be a filter, but this is just to get as many as possible. So, so you could just click right on it and type. I'm literally just put my mouse on it, clicking it. And then if I want to get fancy, there's these over here, but so my first question could just be, whoops, new keyboard. Actually, old keyboard back in the office is really what it really is. So we want to know their name, and see, this is going to like be the header of the question in the form, and then what kind of answer do I expect them to give? And the name is probably a short answer. And do I want it to be required or not? Then these, I can duplicate this one if I'm gonna do like first name, last name, or if I'm gonna do, you know, any other like fields or questions that are this really similar or the same. This is, whoops, I messed up. I want to throw it away. Is this, I want to add an image, Heather?
I think that, yeah, they might have moved it because it's also to your right. You see it on the, it was also in the bar. The comment I would make about adding images, when I do forms that my board or committee see, I add an image. I've learned not to add images when I send them to my families, and I know Habitat and GoPack share some families, just because it takes more on their phones. So it takes more of their data and time and speed. So I basically don't use images, not even our logo, just because of, I know it slows them down and takes up their data.
Very good point. Yeah. This is import questions if you're super fancy and you wanted to bring them in from Excel or somewhere else that you like, you know, had already had them. And this is just going to be, again, it says title and description, so you can see, you could click on it and basically do it again. There's your image. You could add a video, probably not wise for this particular form. And then you could add a section, like if you wanted, you know, information about you, information about what you're going to do, or, you know, you could make a separate section and it would have a, you know, separate title. It would be distinctive in look. So it really is that easy. If you want to get fancier, I don't know why it's purple. That's default on mine, but you could come over here and, you know, you could change the color of the theme and the background, and you can change some font styles and make it pretty if you want. But I'm with Heather on the simpler, the better. And you can preview what your audience would see, what it would look like when they brought it up. And that just opened in a new window. So I can close out of that, or I can just click back over to where I was. You know, I think the thing I tell people, especially about messing around with Google software, is you can't break it, and it automatically saves. And so you really can just click on everything and mess with it. And then if you don't like it, you just go back to the beginning and say new form. I didn't like that one. You know, even if you can't figure out what to do. Now the settings, this is cool. You want to collect emails from people, then you can click there. And does it automatically, or does it just require they put it in?
I've never used that function. I'm not sure. Because
Okay.
I usually, if I'm emailing it to people, I have their emails.
Okay. Okay. And then this lets you limit how many times they can fill it out or who can fill it out. And then this is whether they can see other responses and whether that they can go back and edit it. Presentation, this is the presentation to them, what they see.
So can I back up for a minute? Could you go back
Sure.
to general?
Yeah.
That I saw that said, no, to the general under settings.
Mhm.
It said respondents will be required to sign in to Google. Is that meaning if they only have one response, I mean, a user does not have to have a Google account,
That's
correct?
what I think that means, that
Okay.
they don't have to have a Google account. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. And so, you know, I think in your case, you're trying to not limit them as much. as
Right,
possible.
right,
So you don't want any of that. You would actually, you'd unclick that one too, right?
right.
You want it to be anybody, anywhere can fill this out as many times as they want. And somebody else on your end is going to deal with the filtering.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
That's what they see. That's, again, in this particular case, it's not necessary that it's just, they want Google Forms to be applicable to lots of different uses. And then of course you can make it a quiz. That's fairly new. I think it's more of a 2020 feature because of COVID and distance learning. But you don't have to use that. The really cool thing is when people start to fill these out, then you will have responses, and the responses you can look at in whole, and it'll say, if our first question was name, then you can look at the responses and you can see a list of all the names. Or you can look at individual responses. Am I going to do that here? So, and we can download them. So you can look at the responses that, like, all the responses to question 1, all the responses to question 2, or you can go in and see, okay, the first person that filled it out, here's their form, and second, third, and you can see it that way. And then you can download them, and it says CSV, but I put it in Excel, and then that way you can start to sort and make it look like something that you could share and work with.
Okay, and that I've noticed to get email responses for new notifications for new responses. So that would be, we want to set that up to, yeah, okay.
It depends on the person who is in charge of receiving that. So I use Google Forms for conference RFPs. And I like to know, even though I have an automatic, pretty sure there's a way to set an automatic response, is there not, Heather? Where it says, thank you for filling out this form.
I think I do that through our web page, but having it email you is really good, because like we have it as our, if you want to enroll in GoPax, and we have GoPax year-round enrollment. So having it email you helps me, because I don't check that daily. But I don't, is the automatic response from here? I think I use it in another platform. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't know either. See if that's a setting. No, I don't see that. That must be on Wufoo. I know it's on Wufoo. When you register, like for a program, that you can get an automatic response. So yeah, I would choose what you were talking about, Alvin, is I would choose get email notifications so that somebody could see if it's complete and get back in touch and just acknowledge the fact that it was received.
And then will it keep building that? Will the
Yeah.
responses stay out here for as long as you tell them to?
Yeah, let me show you how that works.
Just so you know, Sherry just texted me and says, use another platform if Google Forms sent by Google. I'm not sure I completely follow you, Sherry, but I think Sherry has a way around that, getting a response back.
So check this out, Alvin. You see, here's my 2020 conference RSVPs, 2019, 2018. So we could go all the way back to 2018. And we could see, here are the questions that I asked. And it should have kept the responses, which is what you're asking, right?
Right.
Here we go. It's just slow. So 14 people applied in 2018 to be conference presenters.
Okay, cool.
And this is the summary. what I'm looking at here, this is the summary of their responses, which doesn't make any sense for these questions,
Right,
right?
right.
But if I want to look at individual, then, so I can see who applied, their information, and then I can see what they applied to present. So you'd be able to see the answers to your
Right.
questions.
Well, and yeah, that would be great to, you know, if it doesn't work out now, as we're recruiting in the future, we could send them another, you know, our application period is now open or whatever. So
Right.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So if you, I mean, you probably just want some very basic contact information,
Right.
just
Right.
so that you can keep in touch. So that should be pretty easy. And then these up here, I always start with blank, but these are just some templates. If you, but I don't think yours is a party invite or a worksheet or any of that. I think you just start blank and just do a, and see, it automatically saves. So I still have
Right,
this
right.
full thing here.
So then, how do we set up who can access it? I mean, who can access the responses?
So I'm going to go over here and I am going to, am I in the wrong place, ladies? Oh, here's send.
Yeah, I was gonna say send.
Send. Okay, so this is, I can send via email if you have their emails. But if you don't have emails and you just want to put it out on social media and on your website and things like that, then I just clicked on the link. And this is interesting. It lets you shorten the URL. And so then I can copy that. And now it's been copied to my clipboard. And so now I can go open an email, put it in the email. I can open my Facebook page and I can put a link on Facebook. If I did this on my phone, I could then go to it and text it to somebody. I could give it, you know, give it out as needed.
Okay, so I mean, you could put it on that could be a link on your webpage too. So,
Right.
and so is this is not an embeddable form on the web page. We have to use this link to go to Google to fill out the form.
Okay, that's what this third option is. Am I correct, Heather?
Okay.
I usually embed the link on I take the link and embed it, but you have to have on our web platform, you have to have a certain setting set. I
Okay.
think it's different depending whether you use Square or like we use Yahoo Business. So I think that varies.
Okay.
But
Okay,
yeah,
good.
it looks like, yeah, you've got the embed HTML. Thanks. See, I told you I'd learn something.
Yeah, so this would be to email it. The envelope would be to email it. The little chain link is just to copy that link and paste it someplace else. And then this would be the information you need to embed it on a website.
Okay, good.
And then look, it looks like it's going to automatically.
Yeah, I think that's new. Is that new? That's cool.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just clicking on it to see what it does.
Yeah, you may get applicants for Habitat Homes here, Amy.
Yeah, well, luckily I didn't hit share, but it looks like Amy Elliott is going to share on Facebook new home interest. So, oh, and up here I could say share to a page I manage, and then I could tell it to do it on Nonprofits Lead. And I could, so you could share it on your Habitat or whatever.
Okay. All right. I think I can take it from here. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this has been a really nice introduction. Thank you for that. You know, we've got a CRM and actually are updating to a new one. And so the forms idea is not foreign to me, but I just had never done anything with Google. And I guess I've just been too hesitant for whether I'm chicken or there's not enough time. So anyway, thank you.
Well, thank you, because what I'm hearing is Ann May got you to innovate,
And May got me what?
to innovate.
Right.
You're innovating.
Right.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
and ready for small failures. So
Ready for small failures. Yeah, because if that form doesn't work, you spend an hour on it or
Right.
less. Yeah.
thank you very much. And Heather, thanks for your advice. And Sherry.